All right, Nick, let's talk about the New Orleans Saints. The Saints have been on a roll this offseason. I think they have thoroughly improved around both sides of the football. They're looking like a more complete team this season than they were last season. You know what happens when you improve, Nick? You get more expectations from people. And we have a story today saying how the Saints this season have a little bit higher expectations than they did last season.
Yeah, Miles, it's a very interesting report you found. I think Saints fans will be excited to hear because after this offseason, it looks like the Saints find themselves in a very strong position. But that's why we want to hear from Saints fans, as we always like to, in the comments section below. Look, as we go through this time of year as free agency, the first couple waves are winding down. We're hearing a lot of the pundits in the media, the talking heads on ESPN and so forth. They give out their grades for how they think each team has done so far in the offseason. But nobody knows better than those talking heads than the fans because you guys are plugged in, you guys know the day-to-day, and you guys are the experts on the New Orleans Saints. That's why we want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Give us your grade of the Saints offseason to this point. We want to hear from you. But all right, Miles, what you got? What's the latest out of New Orleans?
Yeah, Nick. Well, the fans may give us their grade for the offseason, but the media has also kind of spoken in Vegas as well because the Saints have kind of gotten a pretty good win total expectation for this coming season. I'm going to bring up the snippet from the article here. With the additions of Carr and Jamal Williams, this represents two of impressive acquisitions that make the Saints the favorite of the NFC South this season, Nick, plus 110 to win the NFC South. New Orleans has the highest win total line in the NFC South, saying that they are up to 9.5 wins according to market odds, Nick. This is huge, saying not only are the Saints going to have plus or minus 9.5 wins this season, but also they are the favorites to win the NFC South when they are surrounded by tons of teams that have so much potential. You see the Panthers have the first pick in the draft this year. The Falcons have added a ton of players. There's so many teams in the NFC South that have switched things up, but still the media in Vegas expects the Saints to win the division this year, Nick. What does this mean for the Saints?
Yeah, I always trust what Vegas says more than anybody else because I've always believed that Vegas is the smart money, right? They're kind of like the Wall Street folks. They've got the resources to allocate to figure out which teams are going to be the best, right? They've got all the analysts. They've got all the savvy experts that have been doing this for decades. They have literally billions of dollars riding on getting these lines and these predictions as close as they possibly can. More than any talking head, more than any of your buddy down the street, they literally have hundreds of millions and sometimes billions of dollars riding on getting these lines right. That's why when Vegas comes out with a projection like this, I give it a lot of weight. And it makes sense when you look at what the Saints have done, right? And let's give a lot of credit to Mickey Loomis. We've talked about this before, but for years we've been hearing that the way they've structured the roster, the salary cap situation, eventually they'll have to blow it up completely. The team will be terrible because no one can do what the Saints have done, constantly extend void years, put themselves in weird situations in the salary cap. Eventually, the chickens will come home to roost. That's not the case at all. The Saints somehow got an elite quarterback, in my opinion, in Derek Carr, and they were able to restructure Michael Thomas. They kept the core of the team together, and according to Vegas, they are the clear favorite to win the NFC South next season. And when you hear 9.5 wins, that doesn't sound like a lot, but remember, even the best teams in the NFL, like if you look at like the Chiefs, they normally project out around 12 wins, right? Just because the odds, right? They want to make sure, hey, if Mahomes misses a few games and they fall to 11 wins, they finish 11-6, they don't get buried. So Vegas will always sort of undersell the top teams a little bit just to give themselves a wiggle room, just in case some crazy injury happens. So when you hear 9.5 wins, that means they're really expecting more around the 11-12 win range. They just want to give them some cushion to the downside in case Derek Carr blows out his knee in preseason or something to that effect. So when you see this situation from Vegas Saints fans, that means they think the acquisition of Derek Carr, holding on to Mike Thomas, you brought up the Jamal Williams acquisition as well, makes Vegas think that the Saints aren't just the best team in the NFC South, in my opinion, that they could contend throughout the entire NFC, Mize. What do you think about that? What do you think of the Saints' position in the entire NFC after this offseason so far?
Yeah, I like it because the defense has never been the question, Nick. They have a good defense. The back end looks good still with May and Matthew back there. The linebackers look great with Demario Davis. Really good. And then you got Granderson, who had a great season last year, and always Cam Jordan, the perennial all-pro stud. The O-line, not too bad. I mean, that's probably a point where they maybe could get a few upgrades in the draft, but Trevor Penning looks nice. The left tackle they drafted last year, he looks good. And the Michael Thomas coming back, if he returns to form, this is a very, very good receiving core. And then you got the 1-2 punch of Jamal Williams and Alvin Kamara. They look set up, Nick. They look really, really good. And then we can't forget about the signing Jawan Johnson, that he's back. So this looks like a good team, and I'm all for it. I can see where they're coming from because I feel like they underperformed last season. Now, especially with the upgrade at the quarterback position, is at least consistency wise, I don't see why they can't meet this win total, if not exceed it, and definitely win the NFC South.
Well, look at the quarterback position in the NFC, right? You look at the top guys, the supposed top guys. You're looking at Brock Purdy, the former Mr. Irrelevant for San Francisco. You're looking at Dak Prescott for Dallas. Not a whole lot of energy there. You're looking at Kirk Cousins for Minnesota, right? There's not a lot of elite level quarterback play in the NFC right now. Obviously, it looks like Aaron Rodgers is going to the New York Jets. He's leaving the Green Bay Packers. Does Jared Goff get you excited as a top guy? Jalen Hurts is exciting, but we'll have to see how he develops through the rest of his career. So if you look at the entire NFC when it comes to the most important position in the NFL, the quarterback position, the Saints right now with Derek Carr, they may be the second best quarterback situation in the entire conference right now. And I think that's what Vegas is seeing. And keeping that in mind, if Derek Carr, when he's paired with Olave, when he's paired with Mike Thomas coming back, a young offensive line, good defense, like you said, Miles, this could literally be a contending team next season. I think that's what Vegas points out here. And if I was a Saints fan looking at this and pairing it with the moves so far this offseason, I have reasons to be very excited with this franchise.